podcast. Head over to adulting.com for more information and to submit questions for us about adulting.
And maybe even pick up some of our new merchandise. And if you know any fellow adults who need some guidance, send them our way.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. Quick announcement before we begin. Drum roll, please. Our Discord server is live. I'm not real sure how to use it yet, but it is there. And another big announcement. Adulting has a technical advisor.
It's about time.
It is. He's one of our adult children, has agreed to help out. Be doing a little bit of tech advising, and I'm sure it won't be long before we have him on. He was able to set up the Discord server that was just sitting out in limbo pretty quickly. It even has voice channels. Who knew Discord had voice channels besides everyone?
Everyone but us.
Yeah, pretty much. Look for events and activities taking place on the Discord server in the near future as soon as our technical advisor tells us how to do that. Today, we're going to discuss
Kind of an extension of college. That's how I look at it. Kind of like a young professional college situation.
It is, but it's also got roots in,
Like way back in the 30s and 40s.
it's called co-living, and it's a modern form of shared housing. The residents have their own private or semi-private bedroom, but share common living areas such as kitchens, lounges, dining spaces, etc. I called it having a roommate.
Yeah, but this is like a lot of people living in one space. Kind of like an apartment building without apartments.
And managed by professional companies. This is the part, and we've talked about this. We used to drive around and say, wouldn't it be great if there was a commuter village where everybody had their own living space, but there was like a communal area, park, pool, community house type of thing?
It's kind of like senior living for young people.
Or adult dorming for young people. And that's where the extension of college idea comes in. Some of the key characteristics of co-living are shared common spaces. We had the opportunity to look at some apartment complexes when our oldest was looking at apartments and saw some of this. The one down, the expensive one that she couldn't afford, that had some shared common space.
Right, but it wasn't really co-living. Everyone still had their own apartment. This is more like a building that has 20 bedrooms, 20 bathrooms, and a common living room, a common kitchen, a common workspace, a gym, like things that you want, the amenities you want, but you're not responsible solely for your own living space, your own kitchen. It's kind of a group effort.
As I researched this and dug a little deeper, found some of them very interesting. They're all inclusive with rent. Typically, it's a single monthly payment that covers rent, utilities, your Wi-Fi, regular cleaning of common areas. Some of them even have some supplies given to them, or not given to them, but supplied for them. Paper towels, normal cleaning stuff, things like that were just staples that were included in it.
So you essentially would rent a room, like people would rent rooms when they couldn't afford an apartment, but everyone would be renting a room, and then you'd all be able to hang out in the common living space or work in the common work area or go to the gym that's in your living facility. You'd be responsible for your own cooking and cleaning your own dishes and doing your own laundry, but there'd be a maid service or a cleaning company that would come in once a week that was included in your rent, and you'd be able to have a clean house so that you'd have more free time to work on your career or have a social life.
One of the key aspects is they have more flexible leases than the traditional apartment lease. It's popular for digital nomads and people in career transitions.
Right. You don't have to sign a 12-month lease. You may be able to pay your rent month to month.
Many times they're fully furnished. They come move-in ready with furniture, kitchenware, and sometimes even household essentials like coffee and laundry detergent. How great would that be? I'm going to move to a new city and I'm going to bring my bandana full of my belongings.
And that's really where these are thriving, is for young adults that are moving to new places. They don't know an area that's the best place to live or to get an apartment or buy a house. They don't want to be stuck somewhere with a mortgage because their job may move them to another city in a year or two.
Community events is another telltale sign of co-living in 2026. Many of these places, they have organized social activities such as potluck dinners, networking events, yoga classes. It builds in networking with like-minded people.
And it makes it feel more of a community when, half or more than half of the people you live with are like, hey, we're going to do yoga later. Do you want to join? And yeah, they do. Kind of gives you instant friends.
This also plays into our interest in real estate. We came across this concept a couple different times, and it made us actually dig a little deeper into what it is, because we would see in our renter and real estate investor information, co-living situation, and then there'd be links and stuff. The trend is growing, and there's some distinct reasons why. The first of which is affordability. It's often more cost effective than renting a studio or a one-bedroom apartment in the urban areas, let alone the pain in the butt of trying to furnish them and get all your stuff there when you're not even sure if you're going to be staying there.
It also provides built-in social connections, which is particularly appealing to young professionals or newcomers to a new city.
It's convenient because you get to outsource a lot of the life admin stuff. For example, your internet bill, maintenance things, worrying about furnishing your apartment. You save a significant amount of time and stress.
While it was started as a trend for Gen Z and millennials in tech hubs like San Francisco and New York, the model has expanded. Today, you can find niche co-living spaces designed specifically for digital nomads, all of us people that started working from home during COVID and stayed there, for senior citizens, and even real estate investors looking for specialized networking environments.
Looking into it, it's not everywhere yet on those scales, but the places where it is, it's really taking root and growing.
Co-living is experiencing significant growth, transitioning from a millennial trend into a globally recognized institutional asset class. As early as 2026, the global co-living market is valued at approximately $16.3 billion, and it's projected to be more than double that, to $35 billion by 2030.
That's billion with a B. Those aren't small numbers. I can see the draw to it. I look back at my first apartment, having the addition of more people around and community events would have been great.
Right, because you moved in with a roommate because financially it was the right thing to do for you, but you moved to a place you'd never lived and didn't know anyone, and it took a little while to get your feet on the ground there.
It did. And I'm a different person because of my background. I simply joined the volunteer fire department there and got to know a ton of people fairly quickly once I got in. But it took a while to get there, which could have been accelerated by having a co-living situation. The growth is driven by several key factors that align with what's currently going on economically and socially. Rapid expansion is one factor. It's seeing compounded annual growth rates of 15 to 21%, which is like 4 or 5 times the traditional rental. It's an institutional shift. Now the big boys are getting involved and seeing that this is an industry worth investing in. So you're going to see more complexes designed specifically for co-living or modified apartment type of places that incorporate this into their community. For investors, it's offering higher yields because you can put more people. It's a more dense living situation.
You're making more money.
If you're an investor, sure.
Now remember that I'm saying that as the person who owns the building, they're making more money. But as a renter, you're saving more money because you're not paying as much.
I'm sure it's even going to become a status thing. We live in New Jersey, and everybody knows that if you live in New Jersey, there's a couple big areas. One of the places in New Jersey that does this is the Agnes in Jersey City. I went to their website, looked at their accommodations. 54 is the new 24, so I'm going to get us a place, I think.
Now, while originally popular with 20-somethings, the concept has expanded into distinct subsectors. There's a permanent shift towards remote and hybrid work, like we said, And it's created a massive market of professionals who subscription hop between co-living spaces in different cities. That means they need to work in New York for 3 months. They rent for 3 months. Then they have to move their job to Austin. They rent for 3 months. They have to go to California. They rent for 3 months. That way they're not locked into a lease or mortgage, and they don't have to apartment shop.
And they don't have to live van life.
And they don't have to move all their furniture.
Right. Next sector would be senior co-living. We probably qualify or pretty close to that one. It's one of the fastest growing niches in this market, co-housing for older adults. It addresses a loneliness epidemic that's occurring with our old folk. As children grow up and move out, it's leaving parents that were used to having people around kind of stuck. And well, while they were taking care of everybody, life happened and they lost track of friends, or as they get older, they become the last surviving of their friends. It gets lonely. Co-living, senior co-living, provides a middle ground between complete independence and assisted living.
Meaning, yes, you're still independent and still doing your own thing, but there are people around to help you if you need it.
The next segment is the 35 plus executive segment. This is an upscale co-living brand that they're targeting older professionals who want the social benefits without the frat house vibes. It focuses on high-end amenities and professional networking. I might want some frat house vibes just once in a while, till about 8:30 at night.
Which is why the senior living part, I think, is calling your name.
So I need to be the senior executive living, co-living frat guy. Frat barbecue.
They're going to make
frat barbecue. That's what we're going to do.
They're going to make a movie about you.
So what's driving this? What do you think's driving it?
Definitely affordability. I look at apartment rent and mortgages and what these young people are earning, and I think, how are they ever going to get out of our house?
That just made me think of something that was said in our kitchen the other day. I forget exactly what the number was, but what would somebody today have to earn? Do you remember this conversation we had?
To live on their own?
The equivalent, how did he say it? They'd have to earn the equivalent of $44 an hour to earn what was minimum wage for boomers?
For our parents, yeah. And the problem is that in New Jersey, where we are, to live on your own, you pretty much have to be making $90,000 a year, and that is not a typical starting income.
No, it's not. The average family makes, or average earner earns 51, 52,000. Therefore, you're probably going to be co-living or having a roommate to begin with. It's also a sustainable living situation. Shared resources like heating, appliances, and a shared kitchen align with the growing demand for more energy efficient, lower carbon urban living.
There's also the aspect of professionalism. Major mergers have created global networks, making it easier for residents to move between cities within the same ecosystem.
I think that deserves a little more
explanation.
What that is the big boys, like I said, are getting involved in this, and they have locations in more than one major city. Therefore, once you're in and you've become a client of them, it's simply like checking into a different hotel.
Well, and they're also gearing them towards similar people with the same goals and aspects, the same careers, the same range of ages, so that you're going from one to the other and you're still with the same group of people that kind of live the way you do.
Right. So no matter what city I go to, I can have the executive senior frat barbecue experience. Some hot spots where this is really taken off. The Asia Pacific region. Currently, it's the largest market share of this, nearly 50% of it. It's driven by extreme urban density in cities like Singapore and Hong Kong. Another place that it's getting big is Europe. It's the most mature market at this, particularly in places like Berlin, London, and Lisbon. This is inspiring me a little. We'll have to maybe look more into this. We want to travel. If it has shorter than 12 months lease, it would be so cool to be like, all right, we're going to Europe for 3 months.
It would be, and probably really cost effective.
In North America, what we're seeing is a surge of build-to-rent co-living projects, mostly in the Sunbelt markets like Austin and Miami, as well as traditional hubs like New York City. And like I mentioned, Jersey City was one. I believe after reading all the pros and cons, you're going to see this expand exponentially outside of that too. Imagine a young professional co-living situation somewhere where we are. We're in rural New Jersey that has those community events and that shared space. Our young adults, because that's what they are, really after 9 o'clock have nothing to do here. They're traveling.
They are traveling because you're right. It's a small rural area and everything closes by 9.
So if our young professionals had a co-living complex or whatever you would call it, that had a community area that was having coffee later or a frat house vibe, they might partake in that.
Right. Playing cards, movie night, it would give them something to do. If you're looking at this from a real estate perspective, like you want to invest in something, the sweet spot in 2026 has shifted towards purpose-built co-living. Rather than just converting old houses, developers are now designing buildings from the ground up with specific wet core shared kitchens and sun-proofed private suites to maximize both density and resident retention. They know this is a temporary living situation, but they want you to like it so much that you want to stay. So if you're looking into multifamily properties, are you considering co-living?
The reason we're even discussing this is because as this expands, landlords are going to look to start doing this. If they're doing it out there, they have to understand it's more density. You can get 15 to 30% higher revenue per square foot. But there are some pitfalls in the multifamily setting. You have to make sure that it fits in the regulatory and zoning boxes, so to speak. You don't accidentally want to create a boarding house. Boarding houses by fire code, I won't bore you with it, but they have a lot more requirements than a co-living environment would be. And if you don't specifically design it around it, you're going to get yourself in trouble.
But if you're an investor and you find a 8-bedroom home, you could absolutely turn it into a co-living environment.
But check with all applicable codes and rents. In the fire service, we call them SROs, single room occupancies, and they were boarding homes. They had to have sprinklers. They had to have all these other things.
Right, but legally, if you're collecting rent, you have to make it a commercial structure, which would then need all the fire code updates.
Correct. The other thing is when you are making those plans, basically they try to make sure there's one bathroom for every 2 residents. You might have to add some bathrooms. So you would need an 8-bedroom, 4-bath house. Smart tech integration becomes something you want to look at when you're doing this. Co-living relies on frictionless living. You can have 5 different people sharing one key activity. So things like keyless entry and individual climate control become important. Everybody doesn't agree on what the best sleeping temperature is or when it's cold or hot. Therefore, you want to do the best you can to make their area individually climate controlled.
Furnishing and a vibe. To command top of market per bedroom rent, the property usually needs to be ready to move in. You need to have a durable design, something commercial grade, some sort of commercial grade furniture, flooring that'll withstand high traffic, high amount of people walking in and out, and shared third spaces. Even a small multifamily can feel like a community if you designate a specific area, like a shared rooftop, a backyard with a fire pit, or a dedicated Zoom room for remote work.
All of that being said, I've got an idea. One of our chore-mancing things we're going to do, we're going to go look at some of these properties in our real estate scouting trip through the co-living lens. Instead of maybe seeing a 3-bed, 1-bath, let's look at a 5-bed, 3-bath potential. Because you can make literally any property into a co-living situation if you look at it through the right angle and the right mindset. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you again on the next episode. Till then, be safe.
Just remember, you've got this, adults. Keep your head up, your spirits high, and keep adulting with us. Go forth and conquer the world, or at least your to-do list.
And don't forget to like, follow, and or subscribe. Tell your friends, share the podcast, and head over to idulting.com for more information and to connect with us. See you on the next episode. Be safe.